to all our fans for joining us here today. Now, get prepared because we're about to take you on a journey to the center of the Internet Marketing Universe, right here on the Internet Marketing Show with your host, Ed Brown.
Hello, folks. How are you today? We're glad to have you with us. We have a special guest here today, Tamir Huberman, and he's joining us from Israel, a public speaker, owner of THI, a company in Israel, and he's here to talk to us today about social media marketing. Hello, Tamir. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So we usually start off the show, we like to share an inspirational quote with our viewers. Is that something that you could do with us today?
Yeah, sure. I have an inspirational quote that is actually leading me, and it's short. It's everything is possible.
That's wonderful. Everything is possible. Leaves so many possibilities, and it's just endless possibilities today, and especially with the way that the internet is changing and the diversity that adds to the world today and the ability to connect. And I think that's something that we're going to talk about here today. So as we enter into the realm of social media, have you noticed that there's some changes? Try and give us a little bit of background about yourself, who you are, and maybe how you've seen social media affect business today.
Yeah, sure. So I'm working in the business development at ISUM. ISUM is a tech transfer of the Hebrew University. That means that we try to sell or license patents that all of the researchers invent. And the researchers invent at the Hebrew University around 100 to 150 technologies every year. And we have a very difficult time in finding potential companies that would be interested in those technologies. The revolution of the social networks allowed us for the first time to get a quick response from the market, from leading individuals that in the past, before social marketing and social media, was not possible.
Now, have you found that there's certain social media networks which work better for a B2B, business-to-business relationships?
Yeah, so the best social media that works for B2B is by far LinkedIn, which has become the best B2B platform out there.
And can you give us some types of example of how you've used the relationships on LinkedIn to affect the outcome of your business?
Yeah, so the first example that I can share is that we actually saw on one of the press releases a couple of years back that there is a building of a big database for all the pharma-related projects within the NIH. And the moment it was published on one of the major newspapers here in Israel, I got in touch with the person that was interviewed in the newspaper. And after I got in touch, it was a matter of a couple of weeks. And all of the technologies, not only of the Hebrew University, but of other universities as well, was uploaded at no cost to the NIH database. And that's something that before social media existed was virtually impossible.
So your ability to connect is increased greatly. And have you been able to use the relationships you have on LinkedIn to affect the way that you work with products or patents or technologies?
Yes, sure. So one of the major advantages that we now have with LinkedIn is that we established throughout our connections strong consultant networks. So each time we have a new patent or a new technology, we have someone that we can ask if the market is looking for this technology, or which are the companies that are most likely to be interested in licensing and bringing this technology to market. So this is very powerful.
Do these shortcuts provide savings when it comes to the cost of producing the patents, the cost of the time involved with researching and working on patents that may or may not be effective?
Yeah, so first of all, it dramatically reduced the time of response. For those of you that don't know, a patent is a very expensive process. So we have about 12 months before an initial patent is registered to the time we have to decide a major decision. In those 12 months, we have to have enough input from the market if the technology is interesting or not. So before social media, it was almost close to impossible to get reliable and sufficient information and feedback if a specific technology is interesting or not. But since the use of social media and the fact that we're connected to very high-level R&D and CTOs around the world, and of course in Israel, then it dramatically reduced the time to get such a response. And this allows us to save a lot of time in not going forward with patents that have a very low likelihood of being of interest to any company at all.
So your use of the social media networks has, in a sense, revolutionized the way that you do business and the time and expense involved with the patents and research and development process?
Yeah, I would dare to say that it caused a dramatic change at Yisum, because just if we take the savings on those patents that we decide not to continue with, we're talking about the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of saving with valuable input from the industry, why those technologies are not good for the market. And the other side of the story is that if we have a strong input and feedback from the market that a specific technology is of major interest, then we move full steam ahead. Now, this has truly revolutionized the way we look at the patents and the way we try to license them out, and also with our understanding of the technology. So the time curve for us to understand a specific patent and the market has reduced dramatically, and that is a lot of worth of money that is being saved for the company.
Now, once you've reached the patent process and the discovery process, and you're able to recognize that the patent is something that people are interested in, and you move on with the research and development, are you able to utilize the social networks at another point later within the process that benefits the company as well?
Yeah, sure. So social media is being used throughout the process. Usually, in the way we do business, after we license out the technology, we consider it to be a success story. But Yisum also is the owner of almost 80 to even 100 spin-off companies. And in some of those companies, we take a more active role as either observers or directors. Now, in those companies, we help the companies get to market, find potential licensees by the use of our social networks. And we also have an inflow of potential licensees that simply by them looking at our profiles on the network are constantly writing to us and asking for information on doing business and being connected to either our subsidiaries or our technologies.
Now, could you give us an idea of how well connected that you are on LinkedIn? And you've mentioned response times. So in comparison to an attempt to reach the right people by phone or email, what type of response times you're finding and actually being able to connect with the right people when using LinkedIn?
Yeah, so with regards to connectivity, I'm personally connected to more than 27,000 people as a first connection. And the response time is dramatically, it could take anything between hours to a maximum of days to get a response from almost anyone that I get in touch to. And if we compare that to the time I would simply send an email, which only contains my name and company, but nobody knows and cannot see any additional information on who it is, then we, in 99% of those times, we never even received any response. So it's been a dramatic change.
So LinkedIn really has been a huge impact in the way that you do business here today.
Yeah, yeah. LinkedIn, I think, revolutionized the complete ecosystem of the tech transfer environment. And ever since I've been giving lectures with the new company that I formed on the general public on the use of LinkedIn, it revolutionizes the way people do business, mainly in the B2B market with regards to LinkedIn, and of course Facebook with regards to the business to consumer market.
Could you share a little bit with us in regards to how an individual or a company may begin to use LinkedIn if they were interested in creating business-to-business relationships for their own company?
Yeah, I think the first step is the infrastructure. That step is a bit time-consuming to people that don't have any background. So I'm helping out people to build profiles, and now I can build a profile with 1,000 connections in less than 24 hours because I have a lot of leads that will confirm a connection because they know it's coming from me. And once the infrastructure is built correctly, that means that once the profile is a strong profile, I would call it, and the message is very clear from the summary and from what's written in the profile, then the likelihood of potential companies to answer and to people from those companies rises dramatically. I've done it now to almost 100 or so profiles, and it created a dramatic change. Sometimes simply because the profile is not built accurately and because it doesn't say what the company or service that you want to sell or give. So I would say that the profile is the best way to get and develop new business.
So when building the profile and making these connections on LinkedIn, it's very important to specialize and build your following around a specific topic, a specific interest within your business?
Yeah, yeah. So the first is revolving around the profile, and the second is getting in touch with the correct groups. There are, I don't know, so I wouldn't say a number, but there are a lot of groups on LinkedIn, and almost any type of business or service that one is doing, you can find the strongest and most connected groups, and then start driving various connections through those groups in order to get in touch and develop new potential customers or licensees in our case.
That's amazing. So to build a profile, if someone was to be in contact with you and they were to work with you to build a business profile and reach out to a specific industry, this is something that you can increase the benefits that they may receive from the profile and actually minimize the time it takes to produce the results they're looking for?
Yeah, so from what I've learned and from the companies that I've already helped with and also the individuals, I can guarantee that anyone that has something meaningful to offer and builds a strong profile and is connected to the right groups will most surely increase the profits 2, 3, or even more fold as to what he's doing now.
This is a service that you provide through THI?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a service, and of course, I'm usually doing it with certain companies that interest me, but I'm also doing it with other public speakers that have not been utilizing LinkedIn at all, and now are being able to connect to companies. You have to remember that LinkedIn is a B2B environment, so the connection with other types of companies, that's the major platform that you want to use.
So is there certain types of businesses that you like to work with or that you would prefer to work with if companies were to reach out to you looking for some help and advice with the LinkedIn profiles?
I try to keep my mind open, so if anything is of interest, naturally I'm stronger in technology areas, but I also like to help various people that are simply doing interesting things and want to bring it to the market, but simply don't know how. And this is a great way to do it.
Wonderful. Can you share with our viewers a way that they may be able to connect with you, a website or profile, maybe even your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, sure. So my email is Tamir, which is Tamir, at th-insight.com. And the website is also www.th-insight.com. And anyone can also contact me on my LinkedIn profile. If you simply search for Tamir Huberman, then I'm always shown up first. And you can contact me from there. I usually answer very fast, especially if there is something that is very interesting.
Excellent, excellent. I believe that this may be an opportunity for people in the small business industries or technology industries to connect with you and possibly assist in producing a result that could benefit them in their business. So we appreciate that. And is there anything else you may have in the social media realm that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, so I think that in the social media realm, there are tools that could dramatically increase the way that you communicate in those networks. Once you become an influencer and you have a lot of social media, and let's say you have a Facebook account and you have a LinkedIn account with a lot of groups, then there are tools that can be used, such as Hootsuite and others that could dramatically increase the way you communicate with people in a way that is not time-consuming. So there are a lot of ways to get around and use a lot of interesting tools. And if I wouldn't have those tools, I could never get around to get in touch with all of the hundreds of thousands of people that I'm in touch with, at least from the group perspective and from what I'm giving out on a day-to-day basis.
So Hootsuite, you're able to utilize Hootsuite to reach out to people in multiple different social networks from one place?
Yes, yeah. So Hootsuite is a great platform which is very cheap. It's not for free, but again, I believe it's around $10 on a monthly basis, and then you can hook up at least 50 different social networks and blogs and YouTube profiles, etc. And then from a single point or a single location within Hootsuite, you could get an announcement that will automatically go into all of the different social networks, groups, and profiles, and it's very powerful.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for sharing this information with us here today, Tamir. We've seen examples of how a business has been revolutionized by using the social media networks, especially LinkedIn, to reach out and create relationships, B2B, and be able to connect in a reasonable amount of time using the internet to make connections and minimize the time that it takes to develop new technologies, whether it is involving the actual research and development, whether they should move forward or not with the process, and if there's companies that are receptive to the ideas or creating those relationships. So this is something that I think many businesses certainly could utilize, and is probably something that's actually underutilized in today's business world. So thank you very much, Tamir. Now, is there some challenges that you faced along the way when you're just starting out trying to use these social media networks? Maybe something that didn't work out, and something, some obstacles that you faced and you had to overcome?
Yeah, I think that like any place or any platform, there are obstacles, and sometimes it takes the learning curve is on how to find people that that will answer you fast on LinkedIn. So it takes time until you understand, and could take a couple of seconds to understand from when you see a profile, if you write to a specific individual, if he will answer or not. So that is one obstacle that you have to overcome. And another obstacle, which I would say is slightly on the rise, is that people sometimes open profiles which are not exactly their own profiles, and you have to have good eyes in order to see who you are getting in touch with. So in today's approach, it's something that you have to take care.
That's interesting that you point out, because we see that a lot more in some of the other social media sites. Now, are we seeing actual people that are attempting to have a business profile where they're mimicking companies, or would it be a different type of profile?
Yeah, so I would say that both cases are possible. And that's why when you see a specific individual, it's important, especially in high levels, I would say, of tier 1 CEOs, CTOs, and CIOs, etc., is to check and verify that specific individuals are indeed who they say they are. It might sound that it's a bit time-consuming, but it's not really, because today's internet is very fast, and you can easily find on another type of platform or news article if indeed the specific individual is the one that is trying to get in touch with you. If someone is a true expert, we will never know. But that's why when we get in touch with companies, we usually don't try just one person. We usually try at least 2 or 3 people within the company, and that decreases the likelihood that all of them are, sort of dummy profiles, so to speak.
Excellent. That's something that I wasn't aware of, and actually is surprising. I wouldn't have expected that we would find that in this level of business and working with the B2B relationships. So very interesting point. And so moving on to our next question, is there some examples you may have of some points where you actually knew that you were creating success, something that was sort of an aha moment where you realized that this was really going to make a significant difference and impact your business?
Yeah, I had my aha moment, so to speak, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I was creating my profile and I got the first 500 connections, and decided that one of our technologies was suitable for Amazon. And I wrote to Jeff Bezos directly, and I actually received a reply after a couple of days. and I was amazed. And at that moment in time, I said to myself, this is going to revolutionize everything and the way that we did, and that's the way it was. But that was my aha moment at that time.
Actually, something that we really can be taken back by, and the ability we know to get before the right people in business and actually make it past the so-called gatekeeper or the receptionist to get our message through to the right person is sometimes difficult. And so you're just shared with us an amazing insight into the ability for the right business and the right people to be able to connect with the individuals who are actually they're seeking within their own industry to really build those relationships, and this is a valuable piece of information. So thank you very much, Tamir. Now, I think you may have answered this question already, but maybe you have a different tool or app, piece of software, something that you really would not want to go out without in business today. But if Hootsuite is that tool, then that would be certainly a tool that would be of value. But is there maybe another piece of software or a tool that you just wouldn't want to go without today?
Yeah, there is a very nice and a free tool called Callout, and this tool measures very easily on a measure from 1 to 100 your impact on social media. So you connect all of your major social networks that includes Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube and Foursquare and all of the major social networks, and this tool will give you a number. So if you are over 40, that means that you have probably a lot of influence. If you are over 50, that means you are really engaged, and that means that when you write something, people actually read it. And what's good about it is that it's become a standard for influence on social media. So the tool I mentioned before, the Hootsuite, will let you filter out people that you want to get in touch with according to their call-out score, if you desire. So that's become a very, very powerful tool in order to get in touch with people that have a lot of influence on social media.
Very interesting. And do you know the web address to this tool?
I think it's a Callout. It's KLOUT.com. It's a free tool. You just register and you give approval for the various social networks. The system will work for a couple of days depending on the amount of information. And then you get out your score. It also has an application for the mobile phone. So you can see your score at any given point in time, and you also get a badge if you want to with the number. Again, the number from 1 to 100.
Thank you very much. This is actually a valuable resource when you had mentioned speakers. So when companies are looking to work with public speakers and oftentimes looking to hire people within social media positions, I believe that they look to this score to see if this person actually has the influence and the reach that would benefit their company. Is this something that you find in your speaking engagements or other aspects of business that they're utilizing?
Yeah, so in my case, at least in Israel, that at least in this regards lags the world a little bit. So it's less used of seeking out public speakers, so to speak, because all the public speakers, at least in Israel, are not really registered on all of the networks. And while I'm sure that they'll get a call-out score, I don't think that they are being called out to give a public speaking according to that score. But when you use Hootsuite and other platforms that I didn't mention, then this score becomes very important. So I'm using it mainly to engage with foreign companies, mainly in the US, where the call-out score has become the standard, and almost everyone uses it. And I believe that in time, everybody will use it because it's a very it's a standard that you need, because that's the only way you can measure if someone has true influence and if people actually read what he writes in his various blogs, and if he's getting true engagement.
Excellent. This is a very powerful tool, and something that we've actually seen recently has gotten a lot of attention in the social media world. So a lot of people trying to improve their score as we speak today. So thank you very much, Tamir. We appreciate your time and all the valuable insight you've shared. I think that you really opened people's eyes as to the power of LinkedIn and the social media networks and how they can benefit a business-to-business relationship. And these can also be a great benefit with individuals as well who are seeking social engagements or public speaking events. So we appreciate having you on, Tamir, and we really are grateful for all the valuable insight. Thank you very much. I'll allow you to say goodbye to the viewers, and once again, if you'd like to share your information, and we'll try and include that below the interview as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ed. It's been a true pleasure, and if there is one thing I'd like to leave my readers and viewers with, is that everything is indeed possible.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Tamir. We appreciate this, and so we're going to see all of our viewers here on the next episode. We look forward to having you back. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.